Loki. 10 minutes to midnight, you notice that your boyfriend, the one and only Loki, the god of mischief and lies, is nowhere to be seen. Your eyes wander over the crowd, seeing no sign of the mischievous god. You then figure that since you don't see him anywhere, he might have went outside on the balcony to get away from the large crowd that is currently inside of the large room, waiting anxiously for the new year to begin. You make your way to the doors that lead outside, seeing a lone figure standing at the railing, looking over the city of New York. You smile at the sight of him as you enter the cold night. You quietly walk up behind him and wrap your arms around his waist, making him chuckle. You smile at the sound of his chuckle, kissing him on the cheek. Hi. He slips out of your hold and turns to you with a smirk on his lips. Hello, love. You look down at his suit and smiles. You look handsome. And you, my love, look beautiful, he says, brushing some of your hair out of your face. You look into each other's eyes, not even hearing the crowd cheering when midnight strikes. He slowly leans down, pressing his lips against yours. After a moment, he lets go, fluttering his eyes open to look into your eyes. He must see the love in your eyes because he cups your face in his hands and kisses you again passionately. You, of course, instantly kiss him back as the sound of fireworks sound off around you. Thor Odinson. You make your way towards the living room where you can clearly hear the music that is blasting from the speakers. You roll your eyes at the thought of Tony's music choice as you get to where you look over the main room where the party is currently taking place. You smile at the sight of the other Avengers sitting on the couches talking. You make your way down the stairs and walk over to the bar to get yourself a drink before going over to the others. As you pour your drink into your glass, you hear a whistle from where the others are sitting. At hearing the whistle, you look up to see the others looking at you. You then hear the whistle again, and your eyes land on Tony Stark, who's smirking at you. You roll your eyes at him as you put the bottle back onto the shelf and make your way to the others. Once over to where the others are sitting, you take your seat across from Thor next to Clint, who is currently sitting on the floor. You give Thor a smile as you take a sip of your drink after you sit on the couch. Thor smiles back and then winks at you, making you blush and look away. You've had a major crush on the blonde god of thunder ever since you were first introduced to him by the others. If you weren't on a mission during the time the attack on New York happened, you would have met him then. But you were on an important undercover mission for Fury at the time, that you just couldn't abandon your position to fight with the other Avengers. Whoever be he worthy shall haveth the power. Whatever, man, it's a trick, says Clint, referring to Thor's hammer, which breaks you out of your thoughts, making you look at him with a questionable look on your face. You turn to Thor to see him smiling at Clint. Well, please be my guest. You and the others look at Clint, and he looks at Thor skeptically. Really? Yeah, Thor replies with a smile. Clint lets out a sigh before he gets up and walks over to where the hammer sits on the coffee table in the middle of all the couches that you and the others are sitting on. This is going to be good, you smirk as you take another sip of your drink. Your statement makes Clint glare at you intensely, to which you just roll your eyes at him. Clint, you've had a tough week. We won't hold it against you if you can't get it up, Tony says to Clint, referring to the mission Clint was on with him, Natasha, Steve, and you, where he had gotten severely injured, making you and the others laugh, and Clint turned his glare from you to Tony. Clint then turns back to Thor, who's looking at him expectantly with a knowing smirk on his face. You know I've seen this before, right? He asks Thor, making Thor smile and nod at the mention of when Clint first saw Thor lift Mjolnir. Clint then grabs the hammer's handle and can't lift it. After a few moments of trying to lift it and failing, he turns to Thor after he fails to lift the hammer. I still don't know how you do it. Smell the silent judgment? Tony asks him with a smirk. Tony asks Clint with a smirk, making you chuckle. Please, Stark, by all means, Clint says to him, gesturing to the hammer. Tony gets up from his chair, undoing his suit jacket as if saying he's got this because he's the one and only Iron Man. Oh, here we go, you say, smiling. Never one to shrink from an honest challenge, says Tony as he walks over. Get after it, says Clint as he takes his seat next to you again. Here we go, says Natasha, smiling. It's physics, says Tony. Physics, Bruce agrees. Tony then turns to Thor as he grasps Mjolnir. Right, so if I lift it, I then rule Asgard? Yes, of course, says Thor with a smile and a nod. I will be reinstituting Prima Nocta, says Tony before he tries to lift the hammer but fails. I'll be right back, he sighs before he walks away, making you roll your eyes and shake your head, knowing that he's going to get his suit. When Tony comes back, he has his forearm in his Iron Man armor, and he tries to lift it, but fails yet again. Then Rhodey tries to help him by having his War Machine armor on his hand too. After Rhodey and Tony both fail in lifting the hammer, Bruce comes up and tries and fails to lift the hammer as well. Now the only one left is Steve. Let's go, Steve. No pressure, says Tony as Steve pulls up his sleeves. Come on, Cap, you and Rhodey say at the same time. Steve grabs the handle and starts pulling on it. As he's trying to lift the hammer from the table, he manages to make it move a little, which makes Thor look a little alarmed, for he frowns when he hears the slight squeak of Mjolnir moving against the table slightly. After just moving it that tiny bit, Steve gives up, moving back to his seat. Thor laughs in relief. Haha, nothing. Nice try, Cap, you say, patting Steve on the back as he walks past you and back to the seat he was sitting in before he took his turn. And? Asks Tony with raised eyebrows as he looks at both you and Natasha. Widow? Bruce asks Nat. Nat smiles slightly as she leans back onto the couch. Oh, no. That's not a question I need answered, she says, taking a sip of her beer. Wyan? Clint asks as he looks up at you from where he sits on the floor. You shake your head at that. No. Aw, come on, nickname, says Tony. You shake your head again, leaning back onto the couch, taking a sip of your drink just as Natasha did, hoping that he and the others will give up their attempts in trying to make you try and lift Thor's hammer. It seems that they have given up. All deference to the man who wouldn't be king, but it's rigged, says Tony as he gets up along with Sam, Rhodey, and Clint. You bet your ass, says Clint, making you smile and look at Steve, knowing what he's about to say. Steve, he said a bad language word, says Maria, making you laugh. Steve looks up at Tony at that. Did you tell everyone about that? Tony ignores Steve's question and looks at Thor. The handle's imprinted, right? Like a security code. Whoever so is carrying Thor's fingerprints is, I think, the literal translation. Thor gets up from his seat at Tony's reply. Yes, well, that's a very, very interesting theory, he says, walking over to his hammer. I have a simpler one. You're all not worthy, he says, making you smile and him wink at you while the others groan in disagreement. After about another hour of talking with the others, you get up to refill your drink at the bar. As you put the bottle of liquor back onto the shelf, you hear footsteps coming towards you. You lift your head to see Thor and smile at him. The others are going outside to watch the fireworks, he says. Shall we go and join them? You smile at him and nod as you grab your glass from the bar and walk over to him. Sure. He grins at your answer and gives you his arm. You take it happily, and he leads you outside to join the others. The two of you get outside just at the moment the countdown is about to begin, and the two of you get to the railing just as the others start counting down, and Thor turns you around so that you're facing him. You smile up at him, and he smiles back before he moves his hand up to your neck. 10. Thor looks at you longingly, one hand holding the back of your head. 9. You tilt your head up to meet his bright blue eyes. 8. Desire bubbles to the surface as he looks down at you. 7. Your hands rest tentatively on his muscular chest. 6. He rests his forehead against yours, your noses just brushing against each other. 5. Your eyes flutter closed as you enjoy the close proximity between the two of you. 4. His hand rests on the back of your head, slides down to gently cup your cheek, making you look up into his blue eyes again. 3. You feel his hot breath on your lips, making your breath hitch slightly, knowing what's about to happen. 2. His thumb rubs soothing circles on your skin, making you close your eyes and content again. 1. You both lean in, your lips crashing together. Sparks ignite when your lips connect with his, but it wasn't the fireworks that you hear exploding around you. Your heart pounds against your chest as you hold the god close, tangling your fingers in his silky blonde hair. His free hand holds your waist, keeping you close to him. His hand begins roaming your back and the other fisting in your hair, making you moan softly against his lips. You both break apart for air a few moments later, resting your forehead on his. Happy New Year, Lady Wyan. He smiles as he looks into your eye-colored eyes. You let out a breathy laugh. Happy New Year, Thor, you say to him before kissing him again, making him smile against your lips. Tony Stark. You sit on one of the couches watching as your fiancé, the one and only Tony Stark, walks up to the stage and gets the crowd's attention. All right, how's everybody doing tonight? He asks the crowd. The crowd cheers in reply, making you smile. Well, it's 5 minutes to midnight, so I want everybody to make their way outside so that we can watch the fireworks, Tony says to them. The crowd cheers and starts to disperse out of the room and outside onto the balcony to watch the ball drop and the fireworks that will erupt right after. You watch as Tony makes his way to the bar and pours himself another glass of wine. You smile as you lean over the bar, making him look up at you with a small smile on his lips. Hey, baby. Hey, sweetheart, he greets. His eyes roam over your body for a short moment before he looks up at you again to continue. I've got to tell you, you look really sexy when you lean over the bar like that. You smile flirtatiously at him and touch his hand with your fingers, making him gulp. Your eyes wander down his suit. You don't look so bad either, Mr. Stark. He's about to say something when you both hear the crowd start counting down. Tony smiles at you as you beckon him over to you with your finger. He doesn't even hesitate as he quickly walks around the bar and walks over to you. He grabs you by the waist and pulls you into his body. Thor! You smile as you look up into his chocolate brown eyes that you love so much. 3! He smiles back down at you as you wrap your arms around his neck, running your nails into his luscious hair. 2! You both start leaning in. 1! Happy New Year! And with that, your lips touch each other in a passionate kiss. You both let go out of breath a few moments later, keeping your foreheads together. I love you, Tony. You smile as you cup his cheek in your hand. He smiles back at you. I love you too, sweetheart. You smile again as he leans in for another kiss. Steve Rogers. You and Steve have been in Times Square for the last couple of hours waiting for the ball to drop. You wait anxiously for the countdown to start since you've been waiting for Steve to kiss you since early that morning, even if he did give you a kiss when he came and got you from your apartment. You're still impatient and anxious to have his lips on yours. You hear Steve chuckle from behind you and you turn to him. Someone's anxious, he smiles. You shrug before you lean up, kissing him on the cheek, making him blush. I love you, you smile. He pulls you in by your waist, making you giggle. I love you too. He smiles as he leans forward to kiss you on the lips, but you turn your head away from him when you hear the crowd start counting down, making his lips hit your cheek instead. 10, 9, 8, 7, yells the crowd, which makes you turn to Steve and smile up at him as he looks down at you. 6, 5, 4. Steve wraps his arms around you, pulling you closer to his body, making you smile. As the crowd continues to count down, you find yourself leaning up towards Steve's lips, more than ready to kiss him. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! The crowd screams as fireworks are shot into the night. Steve smiles as he dips you down, kissing you on the lips before pulling you back up to your feet. Happy New Year, doll, he smiles. You smile back up at him. Happy New Year. Bruce Banner. It's New Year's Eve and you're getting ready to go downstairs to where the party is being held. You finish applying your eye makeup before putting on some lipstick. You smile at your reflection in the mirror before exiting your bedroom to head downstairs. When you get to the main room, you look over the room and smile at all the people talking and dancing on the dance floor. You then see your best friend, Bruce Banner, sitting at the bar talking to Natasha and Tony. You grin at the sight of him before walking down the stairs, making your way over to him. You and Bruce have been best friends ever since he first became an Avenger and came to S.H.I.E.L.D. before the attack on New York. And over the time you've known each other, the two of you have grown closer and closer, doing everything together. You get to the bar and sit on the stool next to him. Hi, Bruce. You smile. Hey, he says, smiling up at you. He clears his throat before continuing. You look great. You smile at him with a light blush on your cheeks. Thanks. You don't look so bad yourself. He blushes at that and looks down at the bar. The bartender comes over and asks you if you want a drink. In reply, you order a favorite alcoholic beverage, or, if you are underage, water or soda. Favorite soda or water, whatever. Once you get your drink, you turn to Bruce and smile. He smiles back before saying, Cheers. You both clink glasses and take a sip of your drinks. That's when Always by Bon Jovi comes on over the speakers. You turn to see Bruce staring at you. What? You ask him with a raised eyebrow. Come dance with me, he says, smiling. He gets up from his stool and gives you his hand. Please? He asks softly. You smile softly at him and take his hand. He turns to you as you get on the dance floor, putting his hands on your hips. You hesitate for a split second before wrapping your arms around his neck. Wow! Who would have thought that Bruce Banner could dance? You tease as you sway and slowly dance in a circle. He just smiles at you and you giggle. The song ends and you both stare into each other's eyes. The crowd then starts cheering and you know they are going to start the countdown soon. You slide your arms down off of Bruce and start to head outside when people start counting down from 10. Before you can get too far, you feel a hand grab your wrist and you turn back to Bruce. You look at him curiously for a moment as he steps closer to you. Your breath hitches when his free hand goes up to cup your face. Bruce, you say softly before he leans down and kisses you on the lips just as midnight strikes. You both let go after a few moments and look into each other's eyes. Happy New Year, Wyan, Bruce says, smiling at you. You smile back at him and peck his lips again. Happy New Year, Bruce. Clint Barton. You're sitting on the couch next to your husband of 3 years, Clint Barton. You sip your drink as you watch him and the others talk. You then lean your head onto his shoulder, making him look down at you with a smile. Love you, you say to him as he wraps his arm around your shoulders, pulling you in closer to his side. Love you too, honey, he says, kissing you on the head, which makes you smile as you snuggle up closer to him. After a while of hanging out with the others, it's time to head outside for the fireworks. You smile as the flurries of snow fall around you as you watch the fireworks with the others. As the others count down, you just stare at Clint, waiting for him to kiss you. He turns to face you and smiles softly as you slowly lean in for a kiss. Your lips touch softly and you smile against his lips. He lets go after a moment and smiles at you. Happy New Year, sweetheart. You smile back at him before replying. Happy New Year, you say, kissing him on the cheek before putting your forehead against his, closing your eyes in content. I love you, Clint, you say softly. You feel him move away from your forehead only to feel his lips touch your forehead, making you smile. I love you too, Wyan, he says, hugging you. Bucky Barnes. You and your boyfriend of almost 3 years, Bucky Barnes, make your way down the street towards the Avengers Tower for Tony's annual New Year's Eve party, one of the biggest parties that he throws every year. As you walk down the crowded sidewalk, Bucky's coat-covered metal arm wraps around your waist, pulling you into his side. You look up at him and smile before kissing him on the cheek, making him smile down at you with love in his blue eyes. The two of you get to the tower and Bucky opens the door for you like the gentleman he is. You wait for him by the door and kiss his cheek as you both walk to the elevator. When the elevator doors open, you and Bucky are met with loud music and people dancing on the dance floor that's in the middle of the room. Are Stark's parties always like this? Bucky asks you over the music and the voices of people who are trying to talk over the loud music. You look up at him and shake your head. You have no idea. Bucky just smiles at that and leads you to the bar to get some drinks. A while later, you stand with Bucky talking to Natasha and Steve. As you're talking to Nat, you feel Bucky's hand squeeze your ass. You jump in surprise and turn your head towards him, your eyes wide. He leans down to your ear and whispers in Hungarian, Sorry, doll. You're just so sexy. And yes, I said it in English because I do not speak Hungarian and I don't even want to try. Your eyes widen even more, and you look down blushing madly, making him chuckle down at you. About 35 minutes later, it's time for fireworks. You and Bucky follow the rest of the guests outside and watch the fireworks, waiting for the new year to start. You lean your head on Bucky's shoulder as the fireworks are exploding above you. You feel him kiss your hair and you smile while you snuggle your face into his shoulder. That's when the crowd around you starts to count down. You and Bucky, of course, join in. When midnight finally strikes, you turn to Bucky, cupping his face in your hands, pressing your lips against his. Bucky, of course, instantly kisses you back, resulting in you having an intense and passionate makeout session. You let go out of breath and look into his bright blue eyes. Happy New Year, Buck. He smiles at you before kissing your forehead. Happy New Year, doll. He responds before leaning down and kissing you again. Pedro Maximoff. You stand next to Pedro, who is your boyfriend of 2.5 years, waiting for the countdown to begin. You feel his hand that rests on your hip slip down into your thigh, making you tense up. You hear him chuckle before you pulled close to his side, making you grin and blush like a maniac. You turn to him and see him smirking down at you. Why don't we go somewhere more private? He asks you as he leans down to kiss your neck gently. You moan as his soft lips touch your skin. Pedro, you say, making him smirk against your skin. You're suddenly picked up, and before you can even blink, you're in his bedroom. Pedro smirks at you again as he sets you down on your feet. Now that we're alone, he says as he pushes you up against the wall, pressing his lips against your neck again, making you moan out in pleasure. A few moments later, he pulls away from your neck when he hears the crowd start counting down. You make him turn to you, and you smile when his eyes gleam with love, adoration, and a little bit of lust as well. I love you, Pete, you say as you put your forehead against his. I love you too, Wyan, he whispers back as you hear the crowd scream, Happy New Year! And the fireworks explode. You both stare at each other for another moment before he smashes his lips onto yours. You moan as he pulls you close as your lips move together in a steamy, passionate makeout session.